Not only do they not use prepositional phrases to certify the order of operations, but the deductive reasoning of all their sentences is presumed and an illusionary and say nothing.
Interesting.
So anybody that's a multi-millionaire that's being sued by a fiction can hire me to come in and say, that's a lie, and I can go up and take that document that is suing them, put it up on a blackboard, correct it, and prove that it is 100% fraud and says absolutely nothing.
I guess you're pretty busy, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, I know.
I've also contracted my services to the United States Pentagon as a muster master to protect all of our offshore agencies from any foreign jurisdictional contracts to damage them. I have also made this same contract with 82 other countries in the banking industry.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how much, we've talked about that off air, and maybe you could go into that. I know you've done some amazing contracts for different governments, especially one in China.
These contracts are roughly about 115 pages long, and they go through a broad base of subjects teaching the information. A lot of it's on the website in a different format, but it's still articulated to protect them.
Yeah.
So if anybody gets into a situation where their legal department can't come to a conclusion, can't arbitrate themselves out of it, they can hire me to come in and certify that the attacker, the moving party, has committed a fraud on his ability to communicate.
Yeah. So therefore, on the side of the government, when it comes to something that they want from another government, offshore or foreign, they really rely on your technology and your literacy.
Well, they can rely on it when it comes to paperwork.
Yeah.
But if no one's going to listen, just like Bush says to Hussein, surrender, and he says, yeah, blow it out your ear. So what do?
Yeah.
We drop a little ordinance over there and we arrest the guy.
Yeah, there you go.
He's going to say, we're going to have our way whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And the old rule is still there. You can keep what you can hold.
Yeah. But here back at home, I think that is with the Patriot Act in place and the habeas corpus law, I think that unless somebody really knows your stuff and doesn't get a hold of you or one of your staff, and then the government goes after you, you've got a big uphill battle of fiction now. That's my feeling anyway.
I wrote a paper and I submitted it to the Supreme Court of the United States on habeas corpus, and after that it was abolished.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's when Rehnquist was alive.
Yeah.
And the document said, if your habeas corpus is written in adverb verb, how can you bring forth a verb vessel?
Yeah.
And how does the verb vessel ask for anything in the first place?
So what was the response?
Well, it doesn't exist, so therefore we can abolish it. And, even around 1996, we used the apostille. Now, that's a document where where the senator of the state would have to give you authorization to bring a lawsuit into a foreign port. Now, foreign port didn't mean if it was domestic or overseas.
Right.
And we wrote the lawsuit with the Mark Martins case, and we filed it in Vladivostok, Russia.
Wow.
And we won the case for $50 million in Vladivostok, Russia, which stopped all mail from leaving the United States for 10 days to check the mail for any apostilles. When the World Court at The Hague learned about how the apostille was used and that the word APP meant no contract, the word apostille and its use was abolished by all 200 countries of the United Nations.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
You see, they had that for a long time, since 1905, and then when everyone pretended in an illusionary condition of thinking because they couldn't prove the mathematical interface on language, because every time someone came forward and said, that's illegal, the judge says, fine, prove it. And he says, well, I can't. It's just I know it's illegal. And he says, well, when you can prove it, we'll go ahead and we'll act on it. Well, I proved it. And when I proved it, that's when they could go ahead and start changing things. And the government has been changing many things. A lot of the courts now won't allow paper filings, only electronic filings. So if they don't like what's filed, they can hit the delete button. And you can't put a postage stamp on an electronic filing. You can't do an endorsement on an electronic filing. You don't have an autograph on an electronic filing.
So theoretically, they're just a higher degree of fiction, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And when you call these people on their fiction, well, what's the first thing they're going to do is they're going to run for cover.
Yeah. Yeah, with somebody like you calling on them, but some guy on the street probably would call them on it, and then they'd run for cover from the repercussion because they didn't know what they were doing, you know?
Well, you've got to ask yourself a question. Are you knowledgeable?
Exactly.
If you're going to be an individual who's going to yell wolf, there better be a wolf there.
Exactly.
Which means if you're going to say you did it wrong, you better know, one, how to prove how it was done wrong under Title 42, 1986.
Right.
To stop it, and then you must be able to correct it.
Exactly. And that's what you do, and they need to get hold of you to do that, right?
And, when I go to court, the judges know what I do. They've researched what I do. I walk in the court, judge says, I know why you're here. You're not going to do a seminar.
Yeah.
I know you can prove we don't exist, but there's a damage here, and none of us are educated enough to know how to correct the damage. Like we've got a bank robber, a murderer, a rapist, and the court comes back and says to me while I'm on the witness stand, the U.S. attorney says, well, Mr. Miller, are we supposed to let that murder go free because we didn't have our words in the right place? I says, well, you're the man with 10 years of college, 10 years of experience in the prosecution department. Why didn't you write the charges with the correct sentence structure in the first place? Why did the people who ran for office in the legislature, the Congress, and the Senate not create the laws with the correct sentence structure so that the courts were accountable, not as courts, but as open markets, because you have an open market contract to articulate the accuracy by which the laws are written, and therefore you can't hire me to use the loophole to get you out of trouble. And I went to the IRS and I said the same thing. If you write the tax codes with the correct sentence structure, you'll have 100% taxpayers, not 30%. And if 100% pay taxes, we'll have an 8% tax rate, not a 45% tax rate, and everybody gets to make money.
Exactly.
Across the board, this country will grow exponentially faster than anybody in the world with its technology.
Yeah. It's amazing, that we look at flaws in technology, we look at flaws in drugs, we look at flaws in medicine. Nobody wants to look at flaws in the language. And
that's because it vacates 100% of everything.
Yeah, that's my point. It's my point. I'm getting to be your student here slowly but surely, but I'm starting to understand you. I'm just scanning your website, and everybody that's out there should go immediately on his website because you'll stay there for hours and hours and hours.
People will get my tapes and they'll sit down to watch them, and they don't turn them off. I mean, they sit there and watch 20 hours without turning off the TV set, and they're going, I can't believe that I've just watched this guy talk for 20 hours.
Yeah, no, I can, an hour goes by on this show with you very fast, very quickly. And it's just totally amazing to, I'm just seeing, I'm just looking on here. You update everything, and it's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, it's been just recently updated. My new books just came out last week.
What's the name of your new book?
Well, it's the David Wynn Miller Communications, and it's been critiqued, and I've got some new documents in there that are very state-of-the-art.
Yeah.
We go through the deductive reasoning of what foreign courts are, and just like what I just said on this radio show.
Yeah, yeah. And I see you've got now what's this follow-up number, this 414-466-3584?
That's my home phone.
Okay. So
I'm very public. My name and address has been up there on the internet.